I grew up in a small town of Ohio, but I will not give an exact location of this small town for privacy. And my lifetime there was a very happy times, but it all changed after the summer of 1995 when I was only 11 years old. And for privacy, I will not give much details about this small town, like its name, but I will make a brief backstory. In the outskirts of my hometown, there's this old mansion called Johnson Mansion. It was built by a wealthy man by the name William Johnson. He built the mansion 1800 for his family, and he was a well-liked person in the whole town. He is he actually had built this house or this mansion for his family. He had four daughters and one son. He was a well-loved person, and he became wealthy from his connections to the railway system that was part of the town. But eventually, something did happen. Ever since the family moved in shortly after the mansion was complete in 1800, the family struck of some tragedies. The youngest son died in an accident only at age 5, and only like 10 years later, another of their daughters passed away of the disease. And after the loss of the second child, Miss Johnson started to feel almost different. Before then, he was always cheerful, always happy, polite. But after the loss of his daughter, he became a little much almost withdrawn from the society. But he was always around the help of charities and all that. But one day, he he went almost entirely withdrawn from all the society completely. After the second daughter's death, he told the remaining family to just leave. He told them that he couldn't stand that anymore, and even his wife also left. She left the house with the two remaining children to went off to some other relatives in a different state. But that was based on their actual history. But backed onto this from the based on stories being told by people throughout the years and rumors is that Miss Johnson vanished. That after some time after he had sent away his wife and his two remaining children, people never saw Miss Johnson ever again. Because people went to this mansion, but they never found anything. Ever since then, it has been abandoned. But based on some local rumors, is that Miss Johnson died within the mansion. But the thing is, no one actually found him. And ever since then, people claim to have seen his or actually heard his voice in echoing throughout the entire mansion, like "Get out!" Almost like an anger screaming. It based on the some of the rumors that he actually committed suicide. But the rumors are based on what is they can actually can pinpoint exactly what he did. Some that he hanged himself somewhere in a mansion, or rather that he shot himself somewhere and to make sure that no one find his remains. And it's like I said, this was only based on several rumors. Rumors. No one actually don't know for sure what actually happened that day. But ever since then, the mansion has been remained untouched. Even throughout the effort since then, a lot of people have actually been to this old mansion to find proof it's actually haunted or not. But throughout the decades, this is not only based on some other rumors that people actually claimed or had heard his alleged "get out" say, screaming echo around in that. And ever since then, no one actually had ever found any proof of that Miss Johnson actually died in the house. Some said that he left the house, this mansion, before he even died. But no one knows. But most of the people had agreed on after the loss of his second daughter or his third child within the house or the mansion. It could have made him dream madness. And before anything happened, that he wanted, and that also that he couldn't see another of his remaining children to pass away within his old house. So that was the reason why he sent his wife and two remaining children away. But that was only based on the story, though. Now, to my own experience of my involvement within this mansion. In the summer of 1995, me and some of my friends were bored. And we, of course, all had actually heard stories about this old mansion, about Miss Johnson's ghost supposed to be still haunting this old mansion. And one day during the summer, my friend Alex actually came up with this brilliant idea. We should go to see the old mansion to see if Mr. Johnson is actually will still there. Some of us has, like I said, had heard about these stories, but never actually believed in them. Well, Adam and Roger both said, "Are you really sure? But that's even a good idea?" said them both. And Alex said, "Yeah, of course. I mean, I heard my older brother had been there, and he said that he heard Miss Johnson say 'get out' repeatedly. Yeah, but they never taped or recorded it. The thing is about that, but they were actually true though. Is ever since that Miss Johnson passed away in the house, or well, it's supposed to be, people have been there, had alleged claimed had heard his voice, but no one actually never had either a tape recorded it or even a video camera on it. No one actually had any proof that they could actually be hearing his voice. And ever since then, people claimed I've still been hearing to the very day. But I said, well, how do we even know that if we can actually believe that? I mean, no one actually had even proven up and by any recordings. Well, maybe they then never brought any recordings. Would you even go to a supposed haunted place without any recording or any things that you can actually record it? Um, I don't think so, said David. But do you think it's an actual good idea? Yes, said Alex. Well, when are we supposed to be going there? Said David. I mean, we had to be going there at some point. But then Adam, who said, well, we could go there. We can be at my place in the next week or so, or in the next 2 weeks. Supposedly, when Adam mentioned that his parents will be out of town for a weekend for the next 2 weeks, his parents are believing will be out of town for about a weekend. And his older sister had been given task to look after Adam. And why Adam suggests that he did that? Because he was the one who lived the most closest to the old mansion within 2 miles. And of course, when Adam mentioned this, both Alex and David was like, "Well, yes, we can do that." So even I tried to try and convince them this was not a good idea. I had a feeling this was not a good idea, but Alex, David, and Roger and Adam all had agreed we should do it. So there was nothing I could do or even say. Well, I could always tell them that I'm not going on with them, but they were probably telling me I'm too coward and not brave enough to want to haunt this because people have been to this old mansion before. But I told them this old mansion probably has old damage, probably rotten floorboards. You can probably fall from the top floor down. But Adam said, "Don't worry. My brother was there last week and he never hurt himself." Well, that was last week. A lot of things can happen in a week, said to him. But no matter what I tried, I was ruled out immediately, so I give up. I finally give in, and I was like, alright, we will go there in 2 weeks. So with the next 2 weeks, we were planning to what things we should bring with us. And I was like, things? Yeah, flashlights. And the batteries just in case, and the video recorder. I was like, a video camera? Where do we even get one? We can use my new one, said David. David had a video camera from his parents from his birthday only a month earlier. Okay, they will at least had that now, I said. So, in the next 2 weeks, we were supposed to be at Adam's place. And Adam had already asked his parents if it was okay, and we had asked our parents, and they had given us permission. And since Adam's sister was the one now looking after all of us, was a little bit annoyed, which I could almost sense, but we promised to keep us away from her, so we did. And and at the same time, around we decided to sneak out the house around 8 p.m. because Adam told us his sister usually go to bed around 8 to 8:30 p.m. And we promised to just be watching some TV and then go to sleep. So after Adam had noticed that his sister had gone to bed and was sure that she was out cold of sleep. So after she was pretty much a deep sleep, we all agreed it was time. So we snuck out of the house in the backyard, through the fence, and we walked all the way to this old mansion. Like I said, it was only 2 miles from Adam's house. But on the way there, we just talked about what kind of rumors it should be expected. But we were never much expecting much of this. But as soon enough, we arrived to the old mansion. And we were just standing maybe just on the old road looking at the old place. It was sure really much run down. There were no houses in the area. The next house was like Adam's, like 2 miles away, and there was no street lights, no electricity in the house itself. It seems the house hasn't been unoccupied by anyone for about over 155 years at the time. And even though I was hesitating to even want to go in there, but I didn't want to feel as a chicken or a coward to some of my friends, so I agreed. We walked up to the front door, even though some of us probably expected the door to be locked. But it wasn't even locked at all. But that was something as you should expect since the house had been visited by many people throughout the years. So that's probably why the door wasn't even locked, or even if there were, it's probably an old one. And so we decided to sneak around on the first floor. We went through all the rooms were the living room. And of course, there was some old furniture that was probably so bad that he didn't want to, would even try to sit in it. But above this old fireplace was his portrait of Miss Johnson and his wife and his 5 children. As according to the story, 3 of those children died during some circumstances in the house or the mansion. When I asked them if anyone knew exactly which one of the children who died in this house or in the mansion, but none of my friends didn't know exactly which one of them. Only that there was only 3 children who died. But before the others had just left, I stood there watching this old portrait and said to Miss Johnson, I'm so sorry about your children. I cannot even imagine. According to this one of the portraits, for some of the older ones were I could expect maybe as 5, 4, 10, and 12. The older one was a boy around my age. I cannot even imagine like for a family to lose just one, but 3 of their 5 children. But as I was standing there, it's like I heard a voice. I can't explain it, but as I first expected what one of my friends whisper, but I can clear almost I can almost sense that word said thank you. Almost like a thank you. But I wasn't sure if there was that or it was something else. I was expecting one of my friends. I turned around and realized I was alone. But I heard it was there in the kitchen, so I went there. We started looking around for different places, like in the old kitchen, some old rooms downstairs, like an old study and old closets. They were all stuff remains. But then Alex gave this brilliant idea that we should split up in different teams. So Alex, he went with David. Roger, he went alone. So I went with Adam. We went to different locations. Me and Adam, we were first in the basement. We just looked around if we found anything that's. But we didn't find any particular big items. We weren't there to steal anything. We all had agreed not to take anything from the old house because we didn't want to disturb Miss Johnson's ghost or his family or if there was anyone remain there. But we were only like to take pictures or tape recording it and all that. But at the time we went upstairs, this old mansion had 3 floors, including a basement. But for the time, we didn't see any particular things. Roger and David, they found almost like nothing. And Alex, he still had a video camera. And he was walking around, even though the camera was belonged to Adam, but Adam gave in to him to be using it. Since since Alex knew exactly how to operate a camera, since he often used his parents' camera for different locations. But anyways, but as we were walking around, there was pretty much nothing that we could use. Or but as people were getting tired, I watched my watch. It said it was nearly 10 p.m. And I said we should probably leave now. It's only 10 p.m. and we still hadn't even heard anything. Roger and David was getting tired of all this, and they all agreed. It seems that they had to be walking 2 miles in deep darkness. And Adam, he was willing also almost willing to give up. But there was only one problem. Alex. We knew that Alex was very much hesitated to even leave at the moment. But the thing is, there was just me, Roger, and Adam and David in one place. Turns out Alex had left. Well, he was still in the house. He was walking around, and he had somehow ended up in the attic. And we were starting to be getting really worried since we hadn't even seen him in a while. And it's even at the time we didn't know that he was in the attic. But Adam said, "Well, I thought about he was with you guys." No, we were just downstairs, and he may have just maybe he's on the 3rd floor. So we all went upstairs, looking around, whispered for Alex's name, just hoping that he could actually hear us. But when Adam said, "Alex, we're getting tired. We want to leave." But no voice, no reaction, just complete silence. But then suddenly, we heard this squeaking floorboards above us. It's probably in the attic. Have you even been up there yet? No, we were going up there, but I thought maybe it was in a good place. First, all storage boxes, I don't know, all kinds of old stuff in there. But suddenly, as we were like, let's go down the floor below. We can find something there. While we can wait for it. All right, said Adam and David, and we did. He said, I told them we go back upstairs either in like 5 minutes to find it. All right. So we went downstairs again, looked around for different places, and just talked, hoping that we could get any response from Miss Johnson or anything like that. But then suddenly, it was like I heard a voice said, "Get out!" And I was like looking around. Adam and Roger was like, "What are you looking after? Did you guys even hear that? Hear what?" I can swear I heard someone said "get out." Well, I didn't hear anything, but I still looking at David and said, "David?" He looked terrified because he was standing looking towards me, and it's like, "David, are you okay? Did did you see that?" He said, almost like shaking voice. "What do you mean?" "I could swear I saw a face right next to you, Jan." The others are like, Roger and Adam are first like, look at each other and it's like, ah ha ha. Very funny, David, they both said. "I'm not joking," he said. They know. Then they realized that David wasn't joking. And after all, David, he was not the prankster at all. What did you see? I asked. An old man's face next to your ear. Wait, could you hear him say something? David nodded, and I said, "Get out." He nodded again and looked very terrified. Wait, did the man look like Miss Johnson at the portrait? I asked shakily. Yeah, he was really that. It was him, said David, pale. We should get find Alex. Yeah, we should go. This is getting a little bit too freaky for my taste, said Adam. We all left the room and looked around, and we went upstairs again to find Adam, not to find Alex. But still, no finding anything. We should go to the attic. So I dared Roger and Adam to do it. So they swallowed their brave and walked up the small stairs and up to the attic, looked around, and he said he's not even there anymore. We heard his squeaking sounds from a different room, and we thought maybe he had just left the attic and was on the same floor as we were. So we tried to figure out where the sound came from. But then we heard a sound again. But this time it was a scream. But it was from the floor below us. The same where we were before we even walked up together. But the thing is, we didn't actually hear anyone walking down the stairs because they were easily been squeaking. But if someone did, we may have not paid attention to it. But the voice said, "Get away from me!" Screamed echoed around the entire house. And we heard a second voice screaming, "Help! No!" And the sound stopped. We all looked terrified. We realized it was Alex. It was Alex's voice. And as we all ran to the different location to find him, "Alex? Alex! Where are you?" We all screamed and yelled for him. We was hoping we were almost running down the stairs to the second floor to find anything of him. No trace. We was like, he wasn't even there. We have walked through an entire second floor to every room twice, but no sign of him. But as we went in the hallway in one of the last rooms, we saw it. The camera. The camera was on the floor as if it was someone dropped it. We were standing there terrified. We didn't know exactly what happened. But Adam, he walked up to the camera, saw it quietly, and was slowly picked it up and noticed blood on the carpet. And it was fresh blood. And even on the camera, he then turned around and we all saw it in the flashlights. Guys, Adam, he had his so pale. We didn't know what to do. We should go find him, said David, almost terrified. But how? Said Adam. We, he's dead, isn't he? Said Adam, also to start crying. But Roger said, almost brave enough, "He's not dead. We had to find him." But, but, but how do you explain this? And he's showing the blood on the camera. It's probably fake blood. He's probably faking it. He's probably joking with us. But I told Roger and the others, like, listen, Alex is not the one who pranks like this. We should do something. But Adam, he was terrified. We should call the police. Police? How? There is no phone here. And Roger was right. The house didn't even have a phone. And this was before cell phones was even a thing at the time. And we had to run 2 miles to nearest house to find the police. We had to do something, said I said yelling. And but then Roger came up with this idea. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. What? I said. Yes. Look at the recording, said David. If we can see who took Adam or took Alex, we can find him easier. That was a good thing to do because this was nothing else we can do. So at least David knew how a camera worked also. So we took it, looked at it, and we could see that Alex was just walking around talking to himself and even tried to talk with Johnson. And he did something that we all agreed not to do. That was taunting. Taunting, and teasing Miss Johnson or anything like it. Because we all know you don't do that to girls whatsoever. Because they can revenge against you. But as he was in the hallway, he said, Johnson, I don't believe you're actually here. If you are, please show us any sign of you being here. Otherwise, we know you're a fake ghost. And then he made a laugh and said, you probably even exist, and the stories about your children didn't even probably never happen either. That was the last thing he actually said, because as he was turned around, we can see this pale white figure by the end of the hallway, and we both could see it was Miss Johnson, and he looked very mad. As he was walking slowly towards Alex, his voice quickly changed from taunting to totally scared. And he's like, but I'm sorry, Miss Johnson. You should not have done that, he said. And then raised his arms and dabbled the camera, went on the floor fast, dunce. And we can see the camera was focused at as Alex was dragging his nails on carpet. His face was covered in blood. Turns out Miss Johnson somehow struck them down, and he was screaming for help. As the camera saw that he vanished into one of the rooms completely, we were now scared. We didn't know exactly what to do. But I said, we should get out of here. We should go get help. But what about Alex? We had to find help. Do you expecting us, 10 or 11-year-old, to find him? This is a big place. We need help. So we all realized that we were outnumbered this time. So even despite some of the others wanted to stay, but I much convinced them we had to go. So we ran downstairs out the front door and ran all the way to Adam's home. We snuck in, and Adam's sister woke up of this head hearing the back door slamming up. And she was like, Adam, what are you and your friends up to? Because she was angry and saw that we were in our shoes and we looked panicked. Adam, tell me what happened. And where is your friend Alex? She noticed. And none of the others could even get a word. I was like, Adam, where is your sister? Where's your friend? She asked angrily, almost not a word. I said, a ghost took him. A ghost? Yes, Miss Johnson's ghost, said Adam. John, tell me everything. And I did. And, well, at least the best I could, but the others were just panicking. At first, I knew that she would even believe us. But when he told us and showed her the camera, she was terrified because she could see how scared we were. So, she then called the police. And in a matter of minutes, 2 police cars showed up. And we had to give the same statement. At least I did. The others were too terrified to even to do anything. And according to the list, one of the officers said that Johnson Place had been off limits for public for a reason. Because that place was still in good, bad condition. And at first they believed that maybe that Alex had got injured and passed out somewhere in this old place. But then we showed him the recording of the camera. And They were terrified. So we jumped in the cars with them and drove all the way, even on the drive all the way to the old mansion. I could sense that the others were terrified. And when we finally arrived, we were expecting to find Alex standing by the front door, laughing and just taunting us that we actually believed this. But when we came there, it was still silent and the door was still open as we left it. The police officers told us to stay in the car and they went in. And we were just talking to each other what actually could have actually happened to Alex. The police couldn't find nothing. They called in for a backup, just in case, and they even called for a K9 unit. And one of the officers was given the task to drive all of us home. And even at Adam's place, we were told from our parents who had at the time showed up, including Adam's parents who had been driving all the way from the next town over for being away for the weekend. They scolded Adam for doing this, but lying. We were all grounded for sure, but our lives was not the same ever since then that day. As we were at Adam's place, the police searched the whole night and the next day at the old mansion. They searched from top to bottom twice. They searched every single room twice. And even searched the inner area, all the old property, 3 times, including twice with a K9. But no sign, no trace of Adam anywhere. The only place that the K9 units could actually was that room where Adam was dragged into. Then they stopped. The police searched for any trace of blood, but none was found. Only on the carpet outside in the hallway, and that's it. They couldn't find him. Adam's Adam's parents was really so upset about us, including Alex's parents, who blamed us for making this up like that we were the one who's trying trick Alex to go there with them. But we all swore that that Alex was the one actually came up with this idea. But his parents didn't even believe us, despite having the tape recorder showing them how it was actually happened. But despite this, Alex, he was never found. And to this very day, I have no idea what actually happened that day. And it's like almost 30 years ago. 28 for being exact. Ever since then, none of us have no idea what actually happened to our friend Alex that day in Old Mansion. It was only at some time after this whole event happened, which Alex's parents and his siblings actually moved away from the town. And we hadn't seen them ever since, though. And I don't blame them to be so mad at us, but even if we were telling the truth the whole time, I can understand what happened to Alex that day in the mansion. And I was so mad at myself. I was trying to convince my parents and the others like we had nothing to do with this involvement of Alex's disappearance. After all, Alex was one of my best friends. Would I do anything to hurt my own friend? And I was only 11 years old. How much would I even have been able? Sure, with all of us, we could carry Alex somewhere. But the camera showed what actually happened. But no one even believed. And even after all this came out to this, after we went back to school that same fall, our friends believed us. We told them exactly what happened. And we were told that sometime afterwards that the old mansion was gonna be demolished. So that none of like this would happen again. And sure, it was torn down. By the end of the fall, it actually had been torn down. And today, it's nothing there. Well, at least the old mansion is gone, but now this a new residential area has been built over the past 28 28 years. And I'm still today wondering if things could have been different, if Alex had even haunted Miss Johnson, if Mr. Johnson's ghost was never haunted by Alex. I may wonder if Alex could have been here with us, and none of this would have happened. Alex is not like the type of person that would just taunt anyone, not even a ghost or for all that. And for that, I cannot understand what exactly went through his mind, even though we all agreed not to be doing that. Maybe he lied that he was not going to do it, but he actually did anyways, but I can't say for certain about that. So, Alex, I'm sorry that you were vanished all those years ago. I wish that we could have done something to prevent that from happening. But now, it is too late. And ever since then, it says that Miss Johnson's ghost vanished, perhaps presumably joined with his family on the afterside. Alex, you will be missed.